Good evening. Welcome to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show. My name is Leon Jones. Tonight's topic: should school uniforms be mandatory? Should school uniforms be mandatory? My opinion, since I was in the military, I believe uniforms should be mandatory. One of the problems that we have in schools today is we have too much of a freedom of expression. You have individuals that can wear clothing that have gang symbols. You have clothing that has a rebellious flair. Slutty clothing or inappropriate clothing that's too revealing and that's not conducive to a learning environment. Now, the reason why I believe uniforms should be mandatory because, number one, it takes the competition out of dress. Now, the past decade, there's been a dramatic increase in the flamboyance of everyday outfitting of school-age kids. Price tags are in some neighborhoods. It's the thing to wear the price tag on a garment. What you pay for some items, that's a status symbol. And that depends on where children are coming from. Let me give you an example. Jordans. I know when I was coming up, Jordache jeans, Britannica jeans, they were very popular. There is a heavy competition for dressing right, and the peer pressure to perform and conform is incredible. In other words, your dress allows you to fit in certain crowds. Now, as a school begins to turn to mandated uniforms, we all believe that the students look the same. At a base level, concentration returns to who you are rather than what you're wearing or what you can afford. Students are less immersed in keeping up with today's trends. It's time to eliminate from schools the status and respect many students give to clothing labels and price tags. What students need is attention to learning in the classroom rather than how they look when they are in the classroom. So the thing about a mandated uniform, well, it can shift the emphasis from competition to academic performance. That's why you go to school, to learn. Also, we talk about learning environments. Well, uniforms have a helpful leveling effect in school systems where there is economic diversity. It can be quite expensive to dress children. Some prices range from $200 to $500 per child. That's not an unreasonable amount to be spent on each child for back to school wear, but the total is for September only. Now, many parents continue to purchase new outfits throughout the entire school year as the weather and fashions change. Now, there's a lot of money that could be spent elsewhere in most households instead of clothing. Now, that's one of the biggest items when it comes to clothing is cost. Again, when it comes to economics, there are some students who can afford the name brand and some who can't. Again, it goes right back to the focus on learning, fitting in different groups. School uniforms, again, should be focused on learning, not clothing. And I'm going to tell you another thing, that having all these expensive clothing wears, what it does. Well, it creates what we call economic depravity or jealousy. And the reason why I'm saying that is you have actually had individuals get killed over their sneakers and shirts and jackets. I remember back in the 70s and 80s when members only jackets were in. The problem with having these high priced clothes is that clothing is being represented as nothing more than kids who can afford the high prices of clothing to show off. They think they're better than their classmates who don't have the same type of clothing. That also creates snobbery, entitlement, and particularly clothing is too revealing, particularly in today's environment. This is why you have the over-sexualized culture. And clothing comes from what is imitated on television. If you put in school uniforms, you can alleviate all that. Again, you want the playing field to be equal. That way, more focus is on learning. Now, with school uniforms, you don't have to worry about the cliques and the clubs. Everyone fits in. That's why you want school uniforms. Now, of course, you're going to have the liberals come out and say, well, if you have everybody wear the same clothing, it eliminates freedom of expression. Well, sometimes you need to eliminate, when it comes to kids, freedom of expression. They're not knowledgeable or mature enough to have any type of freedom of expression. Their job when they're in school, particularly living at home, should be go to school, learn, get some A's and B's, come out and be productive citizens instead of living off productive people, living off the system. The problem is we are all trying to have individuality, cliques, rebellionism, provocative and sexuality with clothes. This is one of the reasons why students, and I don't think they're as ignorant as any other generation, because my generation, going all the way back to the baby boomers generation, it was about clothes. I can remember coming up, if you spent $30 on some sneakers, some Pumas, some Converse, when they were in, thought you could fit in with the crowd too. So we blame everything on the millennials, but if you think about it, every generation has had the same types of problems with clothing. What's in and what's out. And at the end of the day, it's nothing wrong with looking good when you go to school. You should look good because it can help you prepare for an interview, because your appearance makes a big difference. It also makes a big difference when you have the right clothing on when it comes to how people respond to you. Clothing also presents a lot of stereotypes, particularly if you come in with slogans like America is effed up, girls are better than boys, all kinds of expressions. That's the problem. You allow kids to have too much freedom of speech, rebellionism, sexuality through their clothing, and you also have kids go out and work so they can buy high-priced clothing. This is what this culture has done for kids, and it's always been that way, and it'll continue to be that way, because you're going to have debates about this issue of uniforms, and particularly when it comes from the liberal left. And it's funny how the left, when they come out with something, particularly about freedom of expression, oh, they're all over that with shaming tactics. Like, okay, it's my body. I should be able to do whatever I want with it. But when it comes to money, they want to force me to pay for other people who aren't productive in society. Very hypocritical. What uniforms do, and you stay on topic here, uniforms add measures of safety in identical dress. Gang identification is obscured, group violence and theft are dissipated. Now, nobody ever talks about that, but that is a big problem. You have a lot of gang symbols, and some people don't know what gang symbols mean, colors mean, and innocent could get killed over wearing the wrong symbols, particularly if they are what gangs have in their arsenal as representation of who they are. Now, school uniforms bring safety back into the school halls. Again, I mentioned earlier that individuals who are getting killed over designer jackets, expensive sneakers, and with school uniforms, that also keeps theft and assaults against innocent human beings under control. In other words, uniforms help eliminate violent crimes. Uniforms have also resulted in declining truancy and increased attendance. Another positive effect for the uniform dress code has been regarding upgrades to all attendance records. And one major reason is the student who felt uncomfortable going to school because others have made fun of them, the way he or she looked and dressed. Well, uniforms make them feel more at ease. Where self-esteem is a major issue for all school-age children, uniforms aid in fostering self-esteem by eliminating external differences that may once have led students to being teased and bullied. The line in between the have and have-nots is obscured, and many pressures are removed when uniforms are instituted. And another reason why attendance with uniforms is improved is when you have uniforms, if kids aren't in school, they can easily be identified if they have a truancy program or if they have police officers patrolling the area when kids and where kids are supposed to be in school. And uniforms are not foolproof. Again, everybody looks the same. And school uniforms can allay some of the pressures that keep students from wanting to attend school. And it is a big problem because of students who get teased and bullied because they don't wear the same type of clothes. Students sometimes play hooky from school because they're going to be teased and bullied. Uniforms also raise students' expectations of themselves. Now, this is important. When dressed neatly and seriously, students tend to behave seriously. Let me go back and tell you that again. When you have uniforms, they raise standards and expectations for students. Because when students are dressed neatly and seriously, students tend to behave more seriously. Often teachers find calmer, more polite, more attentive students. Students seem to feel confident in the way they look, and so they have more confidence in themselves. School uniforms also bring an image of success to students and teachers. I believe that school uniforms improve the climate of a school, and that is a vital success to the important factor in today's students learning and being productive. Without school uniforms, we're going to go back to bullying. It's not like bullying will ever leave schools, but it's going to reduce it. You have teasing, low self-esteem, and you're going to have a lot of students who will not go to school, and their attendance is going to suffer, and they may be held back because of their lack of attendance, and their interest is going to be lowered. And in this day, you want to create civility in schools. There's a lot of violence in schools right now because of people's clothing. And another thing that should help bring uniforms to school would be, if you can't put it out about uniforms in the mainstream media, people like me, we can utilize social media such as YouTube to put the message out. And that's why I'm creating this video, because a lot of information that you see when it comes to children and even adults comes from television. So if we don't see anything about school uniforms that make a learning environment positive by the mainstream media, we'll just go ahead and take it to YouTube or Vimeo or other venues that the message can go viral, because people are watching all of us as we produce videos right here on YouTube. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show for today, Wednesday, January 11th, 2017. You can tune into the 411 Talk Zone radio show every Monday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Blog Talk Radio. Guest call-in number is 215-383-5785. And if you like my videos, please share and subscribe to the 401 Talk Zone radio show so I can continue to give you quality information for educational purposes from a professional and mature perspective. Now, on this channel, we don't engage in debates, controversial issues, or emotion, nor do we participate in drama or unnecessary bickering. On this channel, this is a business education channel, and we also talk about careers. So what I'm doing is providing everybody who tunes in with the tools to make it in a regular world. So I am realistic, but very positive on how I deliver the message, because knowledge is power. Now, if you have a business or a topic that you would like for me to discuss on Blog Talk Radio or YouTube, just email me at lej6521@gmail.com. And if you have a comment, please leave it in the comment section under the video. But make sure that your comments are pithy. No bloviating, pettifogging, or filibustering, if you wish to opine. That's it for this video. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. Remember, please be gentle and respectful to each other, and have a wonderful and blessed night. Good night.